Thank you, Rhonda. Rabbi Creditor.
Ezri me'im Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz. It is deeply humbling to be here right now, not only because Dr. Gilman has performed a tremendous impression on me and was there when my father was a rabbinical student, not only because I have a precious picture of him holding my daughter when she was 2 months old. It's humbling because I'm in a gathering of people who are looking, who are searching, and who came to Boston in the worst possible weather because there was something important waiting. And I asked Dr. Gilman's permission in advance. I'd like to disagree with something that he said. A central thing. In every class, and I took quite a few with Dr. Gilman, he began with a process of revelation, explaining that the way we approach revelation shapes the very Judaism that we call home. Now, I'm not disagreeing that that's true. I'm just wondering whether it matters. We are in a world where change exists. We are in a place that is clearly gray. We are not Orthodox. We are not Reform. Everyone knows that much. Everyone feels that much. I'd like to begin, instead of looking at Sinai, I would begin at creation. Why did God create people? Why create a creature that's going to say no? Why do I have a child who's going to choose a direction eventually that I probably won't choose for her? And my second child will now choose, God willing, a third direction. Why not talk about the burning bush where God needed to contact somebody? Our God needs us. Our God is alone, because echad doesn't mean one. Echad, as in the French translation, means God is alone. And what are we going to do about that? What, as a conservative Jewish community, are we going to do about that? There's been an absence, in my experience as a conservative Jew, and I'm a product of Schechter, I'm a product of USY, of Ramah, of Koach, of Nativ, of JTS undergrad, of a master's at the Davidson School, and then ordination at JTS. I'm a poster child. But what have I not seen? Pride. We get together and reassure ourselves that we're okay. We talk about the decreasing numbers and the frustration of programming. I don't see pride. A sentence like, today women, tomorrow gays, should be said with an exclamation point, and people should stand up and say, hear, hear. I don't talk about the driving tshuva with shame. I don't drive on Shabbat. That's not the way I create Shabbat. But I don't talk about it as shame. Why do we talk about having permitted driving on Shabbat? So we could become a community based on suburbia. It was a transformative act which rendered every key that goes into every ignition that drives someone to Shabbat just as holy as the talit they're going to wear when they get there. The question is, how do we look at ourselves? How do we look at our changes? How do we look at future changes? Is it survivalist? Is the reason, as I've heard unfortunately from many people, is the reason to change our shul's approach to an egalitarian approach, is the reason so that we'll have a minyan? That's awful. That is not why we are egalitarian. We are egalitarian because we're supposed to be. And the question I ask, and I know that this is a volatile question in a convention of the conservative movement that has a non-egalitarian option for davening, when we have a movement that has legitimized egalitarianism as a halachically legitimate option, what does that mean about those who choose not to accept that legitimate tshuva? I worry about the boundless pluralism that includes what is for me an immoral position in my home? Is egalitarianism, since it is legitimate and a halachic path to God, does that turn the option, the choice to daven in a non-egalitarian setting, into institutionalized misogyny? How do we face the differences when the questions we ask are moral? I am not comfortable with aimless ambiguity. I want delicious ambiguity. I want directed ambiguity. I want the people who struggle to be talking about their dreams. If any of you are on the Shefa Network, which is a lay group of people dreaming about the conservative movement from within, if any of you would like to talk after Mariv, although that's going to be tomorrow already, right over there, we have a future. I have a letter just submitted to the Shefa Network by a dear friend and a student who's also a teacher, whose name is Josh Sukhov. And it starts, "My name is Joshua Sukhov, and I'm a lost conservative Jew. And he grew up here too." Now, Koach turned my life around. The last convention I was at was in Washington when Rabin was assassinated. And I can't tell you how formative sitting in the room with college students crying and davening and seeing our souls somehow connect despite being very different people, and how many people in that room ended up going to rabbinical school, took on leadership roles that turned us around. But this is Josh's prayer at the end of the letter he wrote. "I'm looking for a spark that is going to help reignite the passion, the spirituality, the religiosity of our movement. I am an idealistic young college student searching endlessly for the answer, and I hope to never lose that idealism. I see this quality in all our words. I see vision on the horizon, and I cannot wait to help bring my people and myself closer to it. It is wonderful to see Koach students here. They should have been the ones organizing this convention, because they dream. That is what it means to dream. It means to make ourselves vulnerable to a future that we haven't yet seen." Just a few more things and then I'm done. I recently heard Rabbi Harold Kushner speak, and I asked him in advance if he was going to use this line yesterday. There's a story, and I don't know if it's true, but it's still very true. There's a rabbi who sees a former congregant who hasn't been at shul for a long time walking in town, and the rabbi says to the congregant, "I haven't seen you in a long time. Where have you been?" And the congregant says, "Well, the truth is, Rabbi, I've been at this other shul across town." And the rabbi says, "Oh, I know the rabbi of that shul. He's a nice guy. He's not as learned as me. He hasn't written the books I've written. He's not charismatic. He doesn't dress as nicely as me. What brings you there?" And the person says, "Well, you're right, he doesn't have those things, but I'll tell you what he does have. He has the ability to read minds, and is teaching me how to read minds too." And the rabbi says, "Really?" And the person says, "Yes, and I'll show you. Think of something." And the rabbi thinks. And the person says, "I got it. You're thinking, Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid. I place God before me always." And the rabbi shakes his head, says, "No, I wasn't thinking about that." And the person says, "I know you weren't thinking about that. And that's why I don't daven in your shul anymore." Now that's a joke, but it's not a joke. What guides our decisions? What's going to make us proud? What's going to make us proud is that we say, "Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz," and we know how to sing it, and we choose to sing it. And we let the neshama, the soul, which is about nishima and breathing out, and we face people when we sing. Because we're going to be all alone if we don't start singing soon. And we're going to get old. And we're going to be lonely just like God, and then we're going to try to create. And I hope we start creating now, because it's going to be too late if we wait. Just one more thought. There are communities like Kilat Hadar in Manhattan, like Ikar and Nashuva in California, like the DC Minyan, where Jews who choose not to join large conservative shuls go. And they're fun places. And if you're in Jerusalem, you probably go to Shira Chadasha, and you forget your ideology because you daven with the mechitza again. Although I know there's some of us for whom that is an offensive statement. I apologize, but I mean it. And you lose yourself in the ecstasy of davening. What makes it that? A whole bunch of things that we don't have as a group. We could have them. We're going to have them. But not if we continue talking the way we do. It's not about ambiguity. It's about choosing a mission and saying it loud. And not only wearing pins, but getting those pins to all be the same label. It's about time that the 17 organizations that represent Masorti have one pin. It's about time that United Synagogue and JTS get on the ball together and make us proud because we've got something to talk about. It's about time we've got a leader who makes us smile and cry. That is what we need. I don't know who it is, but I'm hungry for it. I'm very hungry for it, and I hope that we'll be hungry together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Creditor. And now Rebecca Russo.